Let's go ahead and talk about our first place team, the Resurgence at 3-2-1. I'm a little bit surprised to see them in first place, but as I said, this is a season of firsts, I guess. Let's talk about their injuries first. We've got a lot to talk about with these guys, I think. Kennedy's neck, he took 2 pile drivers in the span of 2 minutes, maybe. Davey Vega took a pile driver. Neck problems there. And then Jake Durden's knee was attacked by Adam Raw. He's been suffering some knee injuries from previous to the show. All 3 of them are scheduled to be at Stage 3. They will be wrestling. How healthy are they? Tito.
I am worried about Kennedy's neck, mostly, because he took 2 pile drivers. I think with Durden, he is a very strong guy. I think he could bounce back. I think he'll be in top shape. I'm on the fence about Vega. Vega, he might have some neck issues here and there during his match, but Kennedy's neck, that's the main thing. And I think that might stand in the way in his match because 2 pile drivers is not anything cozy.
And you mentioned both those guys. With a big tank like Red Wing in the ring against him, boy, you really have to be worried in that tag match that's going to be coming up. And he's a big 300-pound beast that's going to be running into you, snapping that neck back, going at those knees. Don't think that because we've got ourselves a fairly friendly side in those 2 things that the health is going to be in jeopardy. It is. It is certainly in jeopardy. But it's a matter of, the matchups, and you have to look at it. I think the Resurgence catches a break by facing the Blacklist simply because the Blacklist doesn't employ the same kind of tactics that maybe the Eagle Busters of shows past. We have yet to see what they are actually going to be up to. And then, of course, Chaos Nation. So if somehow PWCS can keep those guys away from the ring, especially Chaos Nation, the health is not nearly as much as a concern because I think we're going to see tremendous athleticism out of all of these guys. And don't forget, some of these other teams are pretty banged up right now too, especially the Blacklist. So you look at the Resurgence, obviously the most injured of the 3, a lot of pile drivers taken. I think Kennedy, as you said, is the most impacted, and Durden and Vega, it's a toss-up at that point.
So you both feel like sportsmanship's going to win out here?
Especially between the Blacklist and the Resurgence, yes. There's no reason not to doubt those teams right now.
You?
Resurgence, not only is there the injuries, but the other thing you have to keep in mind is that we're just coming off the whole DQ loss with the Submission Squad versus the Cobra Kai Dojo. Matt Fitchett, even though he is healthy, you saw him in the reacts. He is very angry.
We talked about this on the last Insider as well. A big chip on his shoulder.
Oh, yeah. And you also mentioned this, that he has a little reckless abandon. Do you think that's going to play a role with his want to get back at the Submission Squad and his reckless abandon? Would that cause something? Could he injure himself? That's something else.
Or I kind of see where you're going here. Could that boil over into creating a personal issue with Mike Outlaw and then the rest of the Blacklist? Could we see something occur like that?
Yeah, I guess we really haven't seen these 2 teams square off in quite some time, and especially some of these guys. So you can never rule that out because when you're throwing fists, you can be best friends before, but anytime you take a fist to the face, I'm guessing you're going to think twice about someone else. So that is a good point. You bring that up. I'm obviously more concerned about those 3. Fitchett, he's been around long enough that I think he can channel it into something. He just needs to know and pick his spots, and that's all. You're right. There is that danger of then all 4 core members being hurt, and then what happens? Because that first place, it's a very slim margin.
Mm-hmm.
Very briefly, also on the grudges, you've talked about the dojo and the squad. How do you feel about the outcome of Kennedy-Carrington? Kennedy obviously won, but as was discussed previous to that, you can't just beat Carrington, you have to put him down. And that was very apparent after the match. Where does this go from here? I mean, that was a hard-hitting brawl. They fought all around ringside. There was the 2 pile drivers after the match. He tried to do a top rope pile driver to Kennedy. Can PWCS contain what might come next between those 2 men?
Absolutely not. And it's more than just PWCS. It's a broken friendship. Even though Casey Carrington still says they're friends, it's a broken friendship. It's trust that has been broken, loss of brotherhood, and we can't contain it. So I think this is not the end of Kennedy versus Carrington. It's not going to be an official match, but there's always that going to be there. Kennedy versus Carrington.
I think with the three teams united, if they're able to unite, I think that kind of lessens that impact. That's how you contain it, is make sure that so he doesn't feel like he's cornered. And that's going to really be the toughest thing. That's the whole idea. Jovi right now is cornered. He's in last place, and his organization's basically on the fritz. Kennedy's hurt, and he's lost to his former best friend. Well, let's be real here. But I think the difference is that Kennedy's professional pride is on the line. Jovi's personal is on the line right now. So I think Kennedy is going to be able to contain himself for now. I think he's a calculating guy, and I think, if Carrington was standing right across from him, I think I know what he's going to do. But I think in the matter of all these matches and where his team stands right now, he remembers what last year was like, being on the cusp of really losing his career. So I think he knows what's at stake here with his team's victories too.
But at the same time, you can't count out Casey Carrington and be like, well, we faced each other, Kennedy's just going to put him in the rearview mirror. He knows Casey Carrington. He knows his cheating ways. He's going to have to always keep looking behind his back because he's afraid during the match Carrington's going to interfere. And it goes the same thing with Cobra Kai and Submission Squad. They have to keep an eye out on them. They don't trust each other. Nobody trusts each other between those four men.
With those four, just a quick take on this. How do you see that one playing out? Are we going to get another match between them potentially? Are we going to settle that score?
It will be eventually. I think once Chaos Nation, and again, I'm a believer that in these three teams uniting, it's going to take time and there's going to be growing pains. But once the Chaos Nation is put down, that's when I begin to think we'll see the real personal things settled. And a lot of that will be settled through personal things. Casey Carrington, obviously the biggest, he's the big guy in the room, but I think that score will be settled.
I don't know. They ran like dogs during season 1, signed a contract, actually had the match. Submission Squad won. They're going to run like dogs again. I don't think it's going to happen.